Hi everyone, Scrappy Kathy here to take on another challenge as part of the series I'm doing with Shannon Allor called Challenge Accepted. This week we're doing a challenge from the Inspired by Memories group, otherwise known as IBM, that's headed up by Julie Wickens. And Julie has been running for 3 weeks now. This is the third challenge, something she calls the 1, 2, 3 challenge. So she specifies, in this case, for this week, week 3 is the 1 is a one-word title. The second is the 2 or 2 techniques. You can choose from stamping, stitching, stenciling, watercolors, embossing, a backed cut file. So, and then she gave us 3 color palettes. I am sorry, but I didn't print the other 2 color palettes because I immediately decided to go with Purple Passion because I had found these photos of our Christmas tree that we had at our loft in Houston the year that we returned from our European assignment. And as you can see, the wall of this little alcove that it has a step up to go to the balcony outside is purple. And so, and many of the decorations on the tree are purple, and the wrappings and ribbons on the presents are purple. So when I printed the photos, I probably had in mind doing something like I'm Dreaming of a Purple Christmas or some such title. And but I won't be doing that because Julie's specifications are that we have a one-word title. So my one-word title is going to be purple, and we'll see how I can figure out how to create that. So as you can, and she gave us a sketch to follow. I'm not sure because it doesn't state it here. I'm not sure whether the sketch is mandatory, but I thought I'd use it anyway. Obviously, instead of one portrait photo, I'm going to use 2 smaller landscape photos. They're slightly different takes. One is a closer up on the gifts. The other is a little bit farther back, and it shows a little more of the street and the plants we have growing outside. So I liked them both, wanted to put them both on the page. For her color scheme, let me show you the papers I've chosen. She's got a purple, a red, an orange, and a lavender. So I picked this purple, and I'm actually going to use it for a background because the background, the wall in this case in the photo, is purple, and all the other colors can really pop off that nice dark purple background. The strip down the center, as shown in the sketch, I'm going to use this red. It's not a bright red. It's more of it's not a crimson. It's more of a corally red, which is how I read this particular color here. However, I'm going to be using a redder red glittery circle for the dots, so we'll see how that works out. I'm not going to leave this plain. We'll see in a minute what I'm going to do there. I'm going to use both of my techniques on this small strip of paper. The orange and the lavender and the red will be used. I'm going to triple matte those photos. So I've got an orange kind of crosshatch paper that's a little bit distressed, looks a little bit different from these kind of flat cardstock papers. I've got a lavender I bought this whole collection because it had this lavender, and it turns out I really don't do a lot of spring and Easter kid-like kind of things, although this little purple squirrel is adorable. Anyway, I bought this. It's Bella Boulevard from their Sweet Sweet Spring collection, and I essentially bought it for this paper and some of the lavender accents in the sticker sheet. So these are going to be used throughout. I actually typed up my journaling on the lavender, and I have some lavender to use. You'll see there's some little strips of paper in the journaling. I may use the lavender for that. In any case, I've got that handy. I have a collection of word and phrase stickers. Not sure how or if I'll use those and which ones. I also included some washi tape, and in a minute I'm going to grab some purple sequins. I think I have some in my collection. Let me get, actually maybe let's go with one of the accent colors. Maybe I'll do the orange color for my sequins, if I use sequins. So I'll pull out my orange sequins there. Okay, and my washi has the purple and kind of reddish color. We'll see if there's any way to fit that in. This is one of the first process videos I've made where I intentionally didn't exactly know what I was going to do. So first thing I'm going to do so that it can dry is, well, actually, once I emboss it, it'll be dry. And I have to be a little bit careful here. I'm going to emboss this with some dots. But because I'm going to have, as you can see, there are these dots here. And I actually took that literally. I normally might have used flowers or some other shape of embellishment, but I actually punched circles out of red, orange, and lavender, the other colors in the color scheme besides the dark purple background. And I'm going to use those because I think if I arrange them properly, they'll somewhat evoke a feeling of Christmas ornaments. So that was kind of the thinking there. I had thought about maybe bedecking them with something. I found this glittery purple tape ribbon, something or other, that actually belongs to Ava. It's wired ribbon, it says. And if I can, if I think it looks good to maybe go across one of these lavender circles and do a stripe like that to get more literal about the Christmas ornament look. You'll notice that nothing I have here is Christmassy, and that's by design. This story is not about Christmas, it's about purple. And I intentionally didn't want anything traditionally associated with Christmas. So none of the word strips, nor the washi tape, nor this decorative stuff, none of it's really from any Christmas collection. Okay, first thing I'm going to do here is I've got some multi-medium in matte. And I'm just going to apply it with a paintbrush. And I need to make it not quite so thick because I think if it's thick, it'll gather around the, and I'm going to kind of sloppily do this. I'm really not looking for perfection in the placement of these dots or in the embossing. So this satisfies my stenciling requirement. So one technique down, one to go. With that stencil still on, I'm now going to use some, this happens to be Ranger Superfine Detail Clear embossing powder, but you could have used any. I maybe should have used something a little bit chunkier. So I'm going to just sprinkle it, and again, not getting real particular about how perfectly this covers, although you do see me going back and repouring. I, for the life of me, cannot find my little tray that is meant for dumping this embossing powder back into, so I figured a a small paper plate would work. Again, this is not a perfect job, and it's obviously going to be a little bit thicker in some areas. It's messed up right here, so we'll just have to cover that with an embellishment. And one of those balls or a word strip would be perfect for that. I'm going to put this over here. I'm going to lay that back down, and now I'm going to melt the embossing powder. So I'm sure there was nothing any more exciting that you wanted to watch on video today than melting embossing powder. So I will, and I apologize that since I do kind of live style videos, you're kind of stuck watching what I do in real time. Once this gets warmed up, it goes pretty fast. I'm going to say, I don't want to use this on either my craft mat, because it will be damaged, or my cutting mat, because it'll get warped. So I kind of have to hold it in the air, and so I have to be careful. Normally I use a clothespin for this. Aha, I see a clothespin. Hang on. I've got a clothespin holding my labeling strips. So let me go back and do this in a safer way. So I can hold it up where you can see it, and we can go. Now I have some, I don't have clear anymore, I used it all. What I have is kind of a silvery color. It's called UTEE, Ultra Thick Embossing Enamel. And it really makes nice, the clear raises the embossing. You see how nice that's getting to look. And those little edges around there are not the embossing powder, and they won't melt. That's actually the medium. And so I kind of like it. It doesn't distract. What I didn't want was for this center stripe to have a pattern or anything on it that would detract or distract from the photos on the left and the larger circles on the right. So that's kind of why I chose clear, and it'll read in the grand scheme of things, it'll read as a red strip, and you kind of have to look at it in the light to be able to see that there are dots there. And because we went with the circles, that's kind of why I chose this circle stencil. And the circles are a little bit different sizes as you go through it. This is kind of moving around, and I apologize, that must be driving me nuts, because it certainly is driving me nuts. But I'm going to try to get all this done on camera so that I can actually put the layout together in the video. So I'm going to say the bits that are left, the thicker bits, are there to stay. They're not likely to be melted by any further application. And that's part of kind of what you get when you use a matte medium instead of like an embossing ink. So let me hang this guy up, and we'll get back to it. I'm going to set that aside, and the next thing I want to do is I want to make the letters a different color. The letters that I wanted to use, I have a reason here. The title is going to go just like this. It's going to be on its side and vertical. And so I didn't want to pick a font that was too scripty or too fancy or double colors or anything that would make it hard to read unless you turned it this way. I don't want you to have to turn my page to be able to read it. So I wanted something really plain, simple, large enough, but not so large that it would take over the page. So I love these. These actually were part of a Happy Mail prize that I won at For the Love of Pretty Paper, Natalie Nelson, the lovely Natalie Nelson. And maybe one day we'll do one of her, definitely one day we'll do one of her challenges. Natalie sent me these a while back, and I've used them and hoarded them. So I've got, there are many sheets in here, all with the complete alphabet on the sheet. So that's wonderful. Anyway, let me go. On this one, I've got all the letters except that second P in purple. What I decided to do is use alcohol ink. I feel, because it's metallic glitter on the paper, I felt like I needed to use that. I have a round applicator, which I might have preferred for this, and it has the foam applicators. The foam applicators are meant for water-based products. You have to use a felt applicator, and the only felt applicator I could find this morning was one of these rectangular ones, so I put it on one of my old applicators. So apologies for that. It's going to get some of the letters that don't need to be purple, but we'll see. I'll try to be careful. In any case, what I do here is just wet my felt applicator with enough ink to get on the color. And I'm expecting that these are not going to get absolutely purple, but we'll see what happens. Okay. There we go. It certainly makes the background nice and purple. So there's the second P, R, there's a U, there's an L right above that P, and an E. So I've got P-U-R-P-L-E. I think that's enough for this project. I'm going to set those aside to dry. And as you can see, they're kind of maybe coming out a little pinker purple, but whatever it is, it's going to, I figured that even if I use the gold, it wouldn't be so different from some of the trim on the tree here. So I'm going with it. And oh, by the way, yes, my small grandchild put that blue ornament there. This tree was done for Katie's first Christmas. She was born in April, and her parents brought her to spend Christmas with us that December. We had moved back from Europe in April, and had moved into our loft. The loft was became ready while we were there. We bought it before, but it wasn't completely built out. So it got built out while we were in Europe, but we were really anxious to move into it, but couldn't until we were released from our assignments. Okay, enough about that. Let's put this aside and start seeing how we're going to put things together. I've got this piece, I've got miscellaneous things, and this is the messiest, certainly the messiest video I've ever done. What I had in mind was that I would triple matte the photos. So I'm trying to figure out the order of the papers. And looking at the first paper, behind the photo. That red isn't bad. Let's see. I'm thinking the orange might be nice because of the, there's some orange ribbon here, and the wood on the step up to the balcony looks kind of orange. I'm not opposed to that. Then there's the lavender. I like, because the photos have so much dark in them, I like the lighter color. So now the layers. Do I go with orange next or red next? I think I may do the lavender, and then I'll put the unpatterned solid cardstock behind it. And mind you, these are going to be, these mats will be very, very thin. I'm going to mat these on the same sheet so that between the two photos, all you'll see is the lavender, and around the block of photos, you'll see the other mats. I thought that would make it look a little bit less busy. And this keeps the lavender at a very small bit, but and then when I repeat it with this, it doesn't look like I've used too much. So that's kind of my thinking process. So let's get busy doing this. First, what I'm gonna do, I think I'm gonna use this, this inker. When I cut photos, it always bothers me that the edges of the photos are white, especially if I have a lot of dark colors in them. So since there's some brown here in the wood tones and so forth, I'm going to just ink the edges, not so much to give a distressed look, but rather just to, I don't know, complete or finish, give a finished look to the photo. Just a personal preference of mine. I could have used black, and I do have my black ink pad out. In fact, I could have used purple. I picked up and started to maybe use the purple, this guy right here, but I'm afraid that it might bleed into the photo. And I've never tried that before. I haven't tried it on a photo, so I don't want this to be my experiment. Okay. So, deciding which, I think having the far away view and then honing down to the near view is best. And pardon me while I shake embossing powder that shouldn't be on these papers or photos. Okay, this one goes up here, very tiny border, and the space in between the two photos will be tiny as well. Okay. I think that's good. Get this out of the way and get the trimmer into the picture here. I'm gonna fold that over and get it out of my way. Okay, and while trying not to mess anything up. Okay. Got my trimmer actually trims a little to the left of where the wire is, so I have to compensate for that. And I hear a lot of complaints about this trimmer for not cutting exactly true to the wire location, but if you get used to it, it's not too bad. And I like it because it's handy, and because I know someone gave me a another trimmer for Christmas a few years back, and I just don't know how to say, the philosophy behind getting your where the blade is going to end up is completely different from this one. So I just never used it. And I think I may have given it away, or maybe taking it to a, for the giveaway table. I'm gonna move stuff over again. Don't you just love it when people just shove things off their desks? Maybe taking it for the giveaway table to a retreat. And it's a good trimmer that was given in with love, but I just never used it. So I'm liking the way that's looking so far. Now let's introduce the orange color. I love this paper. I have no idea what brand it is. The two cardstocks are American Crafts, and this I can tell because of the kind of rough edge there is from a pad, a paper pad, and I didn't record, nor do I remember what brand it is. Okay. And I know there are some people cringing because I'm using full 12 by 12 sheets to do this work instead of scraps, but I figure your scraps have to come from somewhere. So this is going to create some scraps that I will enjoy using down the road. And I keep moving my circles around. Okay, now let me take we're finished embossing, so I'm going to move all that part aside. I'm going to use that, might use that. The rest of this, I don't think I need a craft mat for the rest of the project. Okay, so I've got my purple background. I have this red strip that's going to go in the middle. I know that my photos this red paper must have also come from a pad, so it may not be American Crafts. It might be something else entirely. Let me consult the sketch again. The photo is going to go kind of towards the bottom, so that could be the perfect cover-up for the part that didn't emboss well. So yay. And this journaling block, I need to cut a little off the top of that. It's a little too thick, I think. Let me see. And in the photo, it doesn't overlay the strip. Let me move the strip over a bit. I don't want the strip cutting down the middle, so I'm going to move it slightly right of center. Let me down on the ends. I like to get the corners, or else they begin to curl up, especially if there's any kind of treatment on them. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it here. I kind of like that these are messy, and you could get less messy if you use embossing ink and use a stamp instead of a stencil, but I kind of don't mind that. And you probably noticed that about things. Messy doesn't bother me on a scrapbook page. In fact, it's kind of my thing. If you've attended any of the secret not secret parties and done a challenge. My challenge is called Getting Messy with Scrappy Kathy. So here I'm just going to put a little bit of foam. It does have 3 layers of cardstock there, so the foam might not have been necessary, but it does, to me, always help to make the photos more important. So I pretty much mount most, if not all, my photos on. I'm probably going to, oh yes, perfect. Let me place this after I put my title down. Let's go with the title now. Now I know from using them in the past that these guys need a little help adhering. So I'm going to, now seeing how this is shaping up, the gold letters would actually be fine. I think the orange, let me see, I don't think I got that absolutely straight there. Okay. The orange would have been fine, but I kind of wanted purple-ish letters, which is what we're going to get. And I thought I would start, I'll go ahead and adhere them imperfectly now for placement purposes, knowing that I can change it at any time. Okay, this is great because it's just enough different from purple that it's readable on the purple paper. It has a really nice glittery sheen, and I'm very happy with it. So yay, alcohol inks. Let me get the spacing exactly right here. Well, exactly right is not really my middle name either, but because these are such I'd say impressive kinds of letters, they don't lend themselves to being put on at wonky angles or anything like that. If I had a less formal looking alpha, I could do that, and I could celebrate getting them on crooked. Okay, got the PR ready for the next page. I really love that, what it did to the background there, and I will probably punch some little things out of that to add to layouts or cards. That R is down maybe too much. Let me pull it back up. If I have it on its side like this, I can kind of see its orientation to the edge of the photos. Okay, and I believe that the rest of this may come together fairly quickly as the crowd applauds, because I'm done with all my quote-unquote techniques. Okay, I didn't get the bottom of this E completely purple. And my L is a little too close to the P, and the P is leaning over a bit. Okay, there we go. I think that works. Put that there, and let me see if I can line up this. When I kind of place it there in this spot, it lines up with, let me see if you can see that. It lines up with the top of the letters in purple. So that's good enough for me. And I've thought about distressing the edges of this. Maybe this is what I could try that purple on, just brushing the edges like that. I I guess I don't like white cut edges. So I kind of like that. I don't expect it to show much. Let's see if that works. What I'm doing here, it's just a little, I'm trying to space it where the margin here, the margin here, and the margin here are the same. And that usually doesn't mean much to me, but this page is kind of a geometrically balanced page. When I look at the sketch, that's kind of how it reads to me. Okay, now's the fun part. I've got 3 red circles, 3 orange circles, and 3 lavender circles. And I may or may not use them all. I see there's a large circle there and in the sketch, and let's see, we have a large circle. I'm really glad there's a circle that overlaps the photo, because the photo actually has a kind of a black part that for the long view photo, there's a view of a dark wall that's actually brick, and you can't see any of that in the photo. So I'm going to do that, and then the other one is kind of down here in this corner, and then we do the small circle. Let's do an orange one up here, and we'll go with a red one here. Maybe I'll find a way to glue that on, and we'll maybe do a red here and a purple, and kind of do a lavender one somewhere up in here, and this orange one. So I'm actually going to do 3 clusters of circles rather than kind of bringing them down. I thought that might look nice to try exactly this spacing, but I don't think so. So let me take, for expediency's sake, I usually use fun foam and cut it into shapes, but for the speed of the video, I think I'm probably going to do, and I don't mind that red, it's a different texture, a different sheen, let's say, with the glitter on it, so it doesn't bother me that it's a very different color red. It just kind of looks like it was supposed to be that way. I'm going to put this lavender one up on a dot and kind of overlap it a bit this way, and I'm probably going to put the orange on a dot and maybe have it standing out a little bit separate, not so much a touching part of the cluster. So here I'm going to just do some adhesive and maybe a dot over on the other side to support this, because that's quite a thick mass there, and by my calculations anyway, this dot is a little bit thicker than the foam I put behind there. So I'm going to kind of do it this way. I'd rather have it, the part that I'd rather cover is up here, but that's too close to the red. So let me do it here, and it kind of overlaps both photos. Okay, that worked out perfectly. Now I'd like to just kind of slide the orange underneath that. I'll put it up here, that's okay. And the red will be the one that's kind of out on its own. And this one I used a little tiny dot, and it looks a little wobbly. This might look a little more stable. So let me do that. Here I'll orient these a little bit differently. So I will put this guy flat again, like I did the red one up there. And I'll pop this one up and have it kind of this way with this one out on its own. Okay, now I kind of like the fact that they do seem to be spilling along that vertical line on the page. Now, to speed this up a bit, I'm going to say I'd like, my journaling kind of says everything I needed for the journaling to say, as far as the story. What I might like to do is along these dots that are flat, I could do some word strips. And there may be, you know, something like fabulous, you know, I thought would be good because I think purple and Christmas are fabulous together. So instead, I could very easily put this fabulous word kind of sticking out here, but sometimes I think washi tape makes a nice base for a word strip to go. Now here, I'm going to try this, and what's good about washi tape is it comes right back up. So I could do that, and if I can get my, and then I can maybe offset the fabulous like that. I actually like that. So I think I'm gonna keep it. I've got another, I had found a word, it says favorite, but it's in a teal color that isn't anywhere else on the page. I think there may be some old green ornaments there. This green one that I just pointed to right there is one that came from, I guess, see if you can see it right there. I'll bring it up close and try to point to it. It's right there behind this teardrop looking thing. That green ornament was on my parents' tree, I don't know, maybe 70 years ago. So, and I still have it. It's still on our tree every year. So, I'm rejecting the teal. I've used a gold. I could use the word happy. Let me do a smaller strip of washi over here, and maybe layer the happy up above it so it's a little bit different. And I'm gonna do it, anchor it more on the circle side of things so that it kind of cantilevers over it. There's a little bit of difference in elevation there. I like, I've got a fantastic, a wonderful. This is a set of sayings. There's one I saw here that says, fill my soul. I love that. Music of my heart. These are Tim Holtz phrases, and they're kind of wonky on the page, and they're great. I tell you what, though, I've got two gold ones. Let me stick with gold and stick with this particular font. I've got another gold thing. I've got Good Times, Amazing, Hugs, Imagine, Friends, all of these are nice. I could probably find some, but I think I'm going to stick with this same set right here. And I'm sorry I can't tell you who made these. I think I've had them for a while. And they're out of the package, so shame on me for allowing that to happen. Okay, I like Be Bold. So let's see, that one was above, this one was below, and so I'm going to go with an above again. And I'd like something right here in this empty spot. I'm a great filler of empty spaces. And so is there I see something that says rad, so fun, okay, fab. But I've already used fabulous, and that's kind of the same thing. And it would be right beside lines. My journaling reads, purple makes me happy, Christmas makes me happy. So why not purple Christmas? The purple alcove in the loft leading to the balcony was the perfect spot for a narrow tree decorated with the ornaments we'd brought home from our time in Europe, and purple. And so the date on that is December 25th, 2002. Not sure if that photo was taken on Christmas Day, but or the day we decorated the tree. So I may be lying there. Let me see. I've got a sweet, I heart you lovely. I like love. Purple makes me happy. I've used happy here right next to that. So you know what I'm gonna do? I hate to do this, and you all know that I hate to do this, but I may leave that blank. Let me rifle through a set of, the purple thing, perfect thing, and it happens to be a purple thing. I found this, which I actually think is, as it is, kind of gaudy. But I thought I could pick it apart and use pieces of it here and there. So wouldn't one of these purple hearts be great? Just a big old piece of bling right there. My granddaughter Ava would love that. She's used to be a fanatic. She was a fanatic for crafting and scrapping. She'd stand at the top of the stairs and she called me Ma. In fact, for a while she called both me and my husband Ma until she figured out that he should be Pa, and then she started calling him Crapaw. So she used to stand at the top of the stairs. We live in the basement of their home. She'd stand up there and say, Ma, can I come down and do projects with you? So, okay, just one simple little look there, and I found the perfect touch. Okay, I think I'm done. I have these sequins out, but I am not going to use them. Well, let me take that back. Let's see. Do we want sequins? If we were live, I'd ask you, do we want sequins? I could do a line of 3 of these orange sequins underneath each word or above each word. Okay, let me do that. Okay, you're going to have to stick around and watch me pour glue. Let me get this in your line of vision so at least you can watch it instead of hear me talk about it and see a still picture. Okay, and I'm using sequins and washi partly because they're 2 of my favorite things to embellish with, and partly because they're the focus of a few of my favorite groups. For the Love of Pretty Paper and Crafting Out Loud are actually doing a joint product focus for their groups, and they're both, and they're giving prizes for anyone who enters the drawing with a layout that uses washi. So their focus is bust your washi. So I've busted a little on here. I'll be able to post my layout to their website as well as to Julie's in Inspired by Memories, and qualify for their prizes. And Stash Busting has a product focus on sequins. And Just Rediscover Your Stash has a product focus on stencils. So I've used a stencil on this and some sequins and some washi, so I can put this out in on their pages as well. I belong to several groups that do challenges of different types, and I love challenges. I've always been kind of spurred on by them, possibly because of my fairly competitive nature. Okay, let me see if there's no particular reason to use this other than it was Ava's, and she loved it, and I'd kind of like to use it for her because she's having a tough week this week. I could stick it under, you know what I think I'm gonna do is, I think I'll leave this off, and when I do another purple focused layout, I'll be sure and bring that to the table. Okay, I think I'm done. I will, I'll be posting this in those 4 places, and I'll put it on my Facebook page, my Scrappy Kathy Facebook page. This video, of course, you're watching it on YouTube, but if you want to see a close-up of the layout, there it is. Hope you enjoy it. I'm sorry it's as long as it is, but I had fun doing it, and hopefully you had a little fun watching it. Bye.